Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are back as always on F1 2019 here today. And this is a league race, but this is actually a social race in the TSRL league. This is the one after Canada, so this is a week after Canada, which you've seen my latest league racing video with not a good result there. Feel free to check it out, and I was now 1 point behind Jam Pancakes in the championship lead. But this one here, we were on a break week, so this race here, it doesn't count towards the championship whatsoever. It was literally just a bit of fun, but it is Silverstone. I can't turn down Silverstone because it's probably my favourite track to drive on the game. I just absolutely love it. And now we have most of the people in the championship here, and the only person who's missing, obviously, Jam Pancakes isn't here, but we've got people like KJ, Zelchi, Danny F31, I believe. Who else we've got? We've got All Rounder, who's another very rapid guy here. Vieta and Tony. We've got some very, very quick people in here, so I thought this would be a lot of fun, but also a good practice because I do have Silverstone coming up in a couple weeks' time. We just did Austria. So that will be the next league racing video that come out, but make sure you don't miss that one because that was a very, very intense race here. But as you can see here, full qualifying format as normal. Safety car still remains for this one because it is just a social race. But for future races, I will be. The league has decided to actually turn it off because there was a majority vote. Most people actually wanted the safety car off, which I said before I'm quite happy about. But moving on to this video, this is Q2 now, I believe, and this is a medium lap that I did, and I felt this was a very nice one. I think anything in really a 26 on the medium round here is actually a pretty decent lap, and yeah, no real complaints. Just a little bit of time going through the old town one, but coming across the line, it's a 26.7. which currently puts me P2, the fastest medium runner. But I decided to do a lap on softs at the end because with the safety car on, I really didn't want to start on mediums because if the safety car came out, then I would have had to go on hards towards the end. There's no real benefit, and softs can go quite a long way. So I managed to get through 26.0 in the end in the Q2, which is good. But moving on to my fastest lap that I did, and this is in Q3, currently in P3 because I think I used the lap I did at 26.2 was on a set of used softs. I only had one fresh set of softs left, and that's this lap right here. It's coming into here, third gear to just get that extra rotation, extra bite into the corner. First gear, then short shifting in second gear, just minimizing the wheel spin. And I will be talking throughout this race of how I'm actually approaching this track here. But going up into 7th, a lot of people ask me this. I just really prefer it because it gives me a little bit of engine braking. Engine braking is not that OP in this game. It's mainly because I just don't want to be going down so many gears, and you just don't really lose any time whatsoever. So that's my reason for that. Keep nice and tight here. This is the old turn 1 that I was talking about, and going through here, I would give that a 7 out of 10. I could have gone in a lot earlier and almost gone full throttle if you get the line perfect, so I lost a little bit of time going through here. But this Maggers and Beckett's probably my favourite sequence of corners on any F1 game. Going on to the second DRS zone, and we're purple in the first sector. My first sector was very, very strong, which is quite strange to me because normally I really struggle with the first sector around Silverstone. Running a bit wide, which a lot of people do in the game, allows you to get away with. We are driving the Toro Rosso because, as I said, this is not an official championship race. This is racing for no points really. Coming across the line, we almost get pole position, but we were just 4 thousandths of a second away from Vieta and Tony. Again, I'm probably butchering his name, but he did a fantastic lap, and yeah, pretty annoying because I really wanted that pole position. But on this game, you'll see soon, and you've seen it in many league races, you do not need to be in the lead as long as you're near the front and you feel you have good race pace, which I always do. I think my biggest strength probably is the race pace and the consistency. I've never been the best qualifier in the world, never. So this race here, we've got 4 lights, 5 lights, trying to get a good start. All-rounder is elected to start on the medium tyres. I could have got through in the medium tyres myself because I actually had a faster time than him on those tyres, but I really didn't want to start on those. I really wanted to go on the softs. I feel match happy on the softs on the start of the race here, and all I really need to do for this first stint is just make sure I just don't lose DRS, and making sure I use my fuel and ERS efficiently, which you'll be able to see in this race here. And you can see already we're going to go back down to 0 because ERS is just, I've said this quite a lot of times, it is just so important in this game. And you know, a lot of people say to me, oh, why are you not using enough ERS? And the reason is you need to, if you can use it like in an in-lap or to overcut someone or undercut someone, it's so crucial, because if you can just get that clear air and you feel you're faster than most people, which I feel I am around this track, then it's huge, because the DRS is just so powerful. It's so hard to pull away from someone, and most of the time it is so much more beneficial to let the guy, you know, that Antoni's doing right now, let him lead, let him use his ERS. And look at me, I'm not even, you know, hardly using it, and you can see already on 80% on lap 3, and you know, we are pushing to keep with him, but we're not using the car to its full potential at all. We're just keeping it nice and under control here. As going through here, we have a virtual safety car already. ZRG Zelchi has left the session, so I'm not sure what happened to him. And as you saw in my Monaco video, he's left the session now. But you can see I'm being very, very cautious on this virtual safety car restart, and we'll actually go brake a little bit, because I actually thought I almost got a penalty there. It's just really inconsistent, because sometimes when it says it's ending, you could just go in the red delta and floor it, and it doesn't give you any penalty. But then on other occasions, I've seen from other people, it actually does give you a penalty. So if that happens, you get a drive-through or 10-second penalty, something like that. And as I said before, I really don't think it's worth that risk. I've gotten away with it actually quite a few times, unintentionally, but it's really not worth the risk. But thankfully, in future league races in this league, TSRL, when we come to Austria, the next track, the safety car is going to be turned off, so we can just fully focus and get into the rhythm and just outright race pace, which is what I'm really looking to do. But as a result of this, I've actually lost the DRS of Antoni ahead of me, so I've got to have to actually push now to actually use the car a bit more to its potential and try and flex those muscles that I feel I have around this track and get back in that DRS zone, because it's just so crucial. Because the guy behind me, all-rounder, the mediums are going to start to come into their own, you know, in the next few laps or so. But going through this old turn 1, that's how I should have taken it in qualifying, and it looks like I'm already going to be back in the DRS zone. And yeah, I just feel so good around this track. I feel tracks that just have a really nice flow to it, where you're not having to go from 200 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, where it's just constantly high speed. Those tracks really, really do suit me. And tracks like this Suzuka, that's why they're really, really good for me. But you can see, coming towards the end of lap 9, we've got a lot of ERS. You can see almost got 100%, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. I guarantee Antoni does not have 90% ERS. We're going to do a little dummy to the pits, and he falls for it. I don't know if he was going to pit anyway, but I really wanted to force him to pit, because I just wanted to go for that overcut, because I really felt that it was possible. And you don't lose that much time on the undercut, as long as you have good pace, of course, and you can keep your tyres in check. Then you can actually, sometimes even overcut. So that is my intention that I'm going through here. And because I've saved that ERS, referring back to my point that I made previously, this is the time where you want to be using it, because he'll probably be using on his outlap to try and stay ahead of me, and then I'm going to be using it here. And then if I could get out ahead of him, then that would just be absolutely perfect. And I have a lap fresher tyres, which is, again, I think quite crucial in this game, because DRS is just so powerful. If you're the equal pace of someone, then you get out of that DRS zone, then technically with the fresher tyres, you should start to be able to pull away. And it's just because the DRS is too powerful, pretty much in a nutshell. But you can see here, even doing 10 laps on soft, our pace is very, very good at this point. Even pulling away from all-rounder, where the mediums really should be quicker than the softs at this point in the race. But we're driving an absolutely excellent in-lap so far, literally almost perfect. let's see how far we're down. We're only 3 tenths down on our fastest lap as well, so this is extremely good. And now we've decided to go or press the pit lane box, going through here now, putting it into lean, no ERS, and spotting the braking point. As you want to look at that 100 meter board, spotting it almost 3 miles an hour shy of getting a penalty there. Pretty much 9.9 out of 10, I would say, going into that pit lane. And this is a very, very long pit lane, so you do not want to be getting a drive-through penalty. Hence why under the virtual safety car, I was being very cautious underneath there. But I don't think we're going to get held in the pits, especially since we're in a Toro Rosso this time. Putting on the medium tyres, releasing the clutch, and then we're back underway. And now to look out to see where my rival Antoni actually is. Let's see if I've made the overcut actually work. And you'll be able to see it on the mini-map down here now. You can see they are coming through right now. And looks like I'm not going to be losing. I lost a tiny bit of time, but no, he must have had quite a good outlap as well. But this has worked out perfectly to me. I've hardly lost any time back in that DRS zone. And I feel if I could get past now, I've got a really good opportunity to try and break his DRS. And that was my intention. But right now, recharge the ERS just ever so slightly, but we still have almost 80% already, so we're using it very efficiently in this race. And you can already see we're already starting to apply quite a bit of pressure on him. But the main man we have to really look out for is a guy called SHZ All-Rounder, who I said who's just come in here. He hasn't joined the league or anything, but he's just come in here just for a social race where anyone can join. He's extremely quick, one of the quickest on the game, I'd say, right now. And he's decided to go on the softs towards the end of the race. So we really have to look out for him. There's quite a few people who haven't actually pitted yet because they're electing to do that kind of strategy. And you can see, just putting it back down into no ERS, there is no reason whatsoever to be using it. Because right now, I don't need to be leading. I don't need to be a net race leader. Because all I'm going to be doing is just gifting him ERS whilst... I'm just expending all mine. You can see he's gone a little bit wide here, so we're starting to put him under a lot more pressure. And again, seeing no low ERS being used really at all. There just really is no point whatsoever. But I was also conscious that we needed to pick up the pace just a little bit because I didn't want All-Rounder to... I wanted him to lose a lot of time. I didn't want him to come out relatively close. So if he comes out close and he's on the soft tyres, we've already shown that on 10 laps they can do pretty well. So I think he's conceding this position. He is not fighting this position at all. So he wants me to kind of lead this charge and try and put him along a little bit. And I was perfectly happy to do so. But I was expecting to stay in the DRS zone because it is, as I said, very powerful. But if I could get out of the DRS zone, that would be great. But we're moving on to the start of lap 14 now. And now we're starting to come up on some guys who haven't actually pitted yet. The first one being Ian Boy, good friend of mine, which you'll be able to see in a minute in the McLaren. So he is on 14 lap old mediums. We're on 3 and a bit lap old mediums. So we're going to have a huge pace advantage of him. You can see we're already actually starting to create a little bit of a gap to Antoni behind me, 7/10 of a second in fact. Going through into here, had taken a really tight line, and he looks like he's got a poor exit, and I believe he's not really making it too difficult, which is pretty obvious. We're not in a party or anything, I can assure you of that. You can see that by my stream, but he made that pretty nice for me, which I'm very grateful for. That is always nice when people voluntarily move out the way for you. But going for Magnus and Beckett, I now saw this as my opportunities. We get my first warning of this race. I saw this as my opportunity to try and break that DRS, and if I could, I felt I had the pace to just keep extending that gap, and I wanted to put as much distance between myself, Antoni, and also All-Rounder, who I believe is coming into the pits this lap now, as much as possible, because I know he will be charging through at the end on those soft tyres. So navigating through the chicane very nicely here. Let's see when Antoni's actually going to overtake him. He's still... I think he has overtaken him now. And you can see All-Rounder, that is All-Rounder coming out the pits on the soft tyres. We've got still a couple of guys ahead of me who haven't actually pitted yet. And we can see, we'll be able to see, going through the first sector split, if I've already pulled away 1 second out of this DRS zone. You can see the arrow has already disappeared. And let's see now, using my ERS just a bit more, just to ensure I try and get out of this DRS zone. And let's see what the gap is going to be going through this. It is over 1 second, so 1.2 seconds. So this is absolutely perfect so far. And skipping on towards the end of lap 16, the gap is started to extend about 2 or 3 tenths a lap. But you can see All-Rounder has now put in the fastest lap, so he is really charging through, and he is honestly not that far behind whatsoever. But going through into the middle of lap 18, you can see we've really picked up the pace, over 2 seconds now, so our pace is extremely good right now. But All-Rounder has now already caught up to the back of the 3rd place man, and we'll be able to see going through this old turn 1 here. I don't think he's really going to put up too much of a fight, as there is a switch of position, and I think Antonio's probably going to try and hang on to All-Rounder to use him to get onto the back of me, because the soft tyres are definitely going to be quicker than the mediums at this point in the race. But he did pit quite early for those soft tyres, so they will be going off towards the end of the race here. So you can see 2.2 seconds behind. But moving on to lap 23, this is when he's actually caught me, and he's actually dragged along VSR Antonio as well, because as I said, the DRS, yeah, it is really strong on this game, which is annoying but also good at the same time. But coming through here now, I really wasn't going to fight this too hard whatsoever, and because I knew his tyres would start to go off towards the end of this race, so we decided to let him through, and then it's my turn to actually save some fuel and ERS itself. And you know, you can see we pulled away from Tony by quite a bit, but since he's used All-Rounder, he's caught back up again. Whereas I think if All-Rounder wasn't here, I think we'd be well over 3 seconds in the lead or more right now. But you can see it's actually started to rain ever so slightly, and again this swings a little bit more to my favour, because a harder compound is usually actually better in wet conditions. And this is the stage where All-Rounder's tyres really should start to be going off now, and you can see we've got quite a lot of ERS saved. Haven't got much fuel though. I have used a bit more fuel than I really needed to, because I was in the lead for quite a while in that second stint. But we're going to put it back down, and my mindset here was just to ensure I had a full deployment of ERS like I would have done for a qualifying lap on this last lap, because you know, we've only got one opportunity now and we've just been leaving it a little bit late. So now I need to get a really good first sector, because either this first sector or the 3rd sector are the only opportunities that I'm going to have. So going completely flat out through the old turn, a little bit of a squiggle from the Haas driver out ahead of me, and going into here, I really love this corner. 4th gear, 3rd gear, last minute, just to keep the car nice and stable. But I actually turn in a little bit too early through this corner, so not a good exit, and we're actually quite a way behind here. But luckily I have a lot of ERS to use on this last lap, but it's the fuel I really have to be paying attention to. But I should have enough just for this last sector, and we're gaining a lot of time through here. Really nice corner and a really good exit coming off here now, and this is the closest I've been from the last couple of laps on the All-Rounder here. And going through old turn 1, I knew I had to make up some time going through this corner, and we did an absolutely perfect turn 1. Could not have done that any better. So we're going to leave it in hot lap and lean here. We are so close to him, going through Magnus and Beckett's, making sure I set up the line to get on the power earlier than him. You can see we're much earlier than him on the power, and using the DRS, got the full deployment, and this should be a pretty easy move, going around the outside, going back into the race lead, and then going towards the end of Hangar Straight. We're in the lead here, unless he does a massive dive bomb. This should be the race done. Going through the last chicane now, navigating this very nicely, and we come home to take a win in a league race. It's been a little while, and it just feels really good to me. A really competitive grid at Silverstone, a good amount of practice for my future league race around here, and yeah, just drove a perfect race. Just kept super calm, and I was really disappointed in myself after Canada in terms of my performance. I felt I really was driving way too conservative and not to my potential, and I think I just needed to be a lot more relaxed, a lot more calm when I drove, and just believed in myself a little bit more. And that's what I tried to do for this race, and it paid off very well. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that one. thank you so much again for 100,000 subscribers, and just the support I've had recently has just been nothing short of just insane. It really has. Thank you. Stay tuned for Austria, which is coming out next week. You do not want to miss that one, I promise you that. But thank you again, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.